The new Riven Tides map has come to Arc Raiders, and after spending a ton of time playing over the last few days, I thought I'd go over some tips and tricks and kind of like an ultimate guide to Riven Tides. Like the best ways to defeat the new Turbine Arc pretty easily, how to get the new blueprints, the best loot spots, secret keycard and key room locations, like the secret puzzle rooms and all of the button locations to open those up. Thank you to Arc Raiders for sponsoring this video. Click on the links down below to check out Arc Raiders in the new Riven Tides update, which is out right now. The new Arc, the Turbine, is kind of like a giant cone of death. They come in through the sky and kind of just pick a spot to land, and when they do, they place a little minefield thing that detects anyone who approaches it. If you get close enough, or you start shooting it, it'll lift up into the sky where it'll start shooting lightning strikes back at you. Believe it or not, you can dodge these if you pay attention to the shots. It fires like dummy rounds or seeker rounds that will eventually attract the lightning. Once that seeker round hits or goes past you, just start sprinting or get behind cover. The distance seems to matter since the first round it fires is locating where the lightning will fire and kind of like seeing where you're at. So you've got like a second or two to get out of there. They don't spawn in until like halfway through the match toward the 15-minute mark. Sometimes it's around where there's like 16 or 17 minutes remaining. Sometimes it's more towards like 13 or 14. That's where you should then be able to look up and see them fly in from the sky. You should hear them as well, and they'll be hovering around somewhere before they land. This is like the best spot to see where they are, because whether or not they even spawn in the match is random, and then where they land is also random. And the turbines don't just spawn on the Riven Tides map, but other maps as well. I don't know if it spawns on all of them, but I mean, I've seen them on Bluegate, Buried City, Damn Battlegrounds, and I think Spaceport as well, so it's probably every map besides Stellamontes. They just seem to be a lot more common on Riven Tides. You can see the turbine's major weak spot once it lands on the ground and opens up its little tripod legs. Once those open up, you'll see those spinning little yellow tubes in there, and that's how you'll deal the most damage to them. You can go ahead and just shoot the hardest hitting thing that you have, but there are a few different ways to beat the turbine a little easier. You can obviously use legendary weapons like the Jupiter, or more preferably the grenade launcher since it's cheaper and works great too, but you can take out the turbine a lot easier with just a couple of deadline mines, which is a lot quicker and you can skip out on having to chase it around and just shooting like a madman. You could snap hook on top of it and place the deadlines on top, but the easiest way is to just sneak up on it, but really just sprint at it as fast as possible and place the deadline mines on its weak spot. That is the best way. Once you get close and set off its minefield, it'll only hang around for a couple more seconds before it closes up shop and takes off, but even then you still typically have enough time to place at least one deadline mine, and usually you can get two of them off. Obviously this is much easier to do if there are 2 or 3 people planting them at the same time, but you can do it solo as well. If you are solo, you can even see if anyone wants to help you in proximity chat. It generally seems to take about 4 deadline mines total to defeat the turbine. Alternatively, if you're going to shoot at it, try to keep your distance, and you can just use the Pharaoh or Osprey. I mean, the grenade launcher also has a good range on it, but just even the Osprey, aim for its weak spot, and stay around like 175 to 185 meters away from it. And that's a pretty good distance where you can get some shots off, especially if you've got a silencer. Or find a window or slight opening where the turbine's shots can't reach you, and you can just keep on shooting with the Osprey. They added a few different blueprints to the game as well. The crash mat, which just helps you not take fall damage when jumping from a decent height. The white flag, and the powered descender, which allows you to fly down like a little glider. This does have a limit. You cannot just like jump from any height. You can get around from a pretty decent height, but you cannot jump from the spaceport tower, for example. This will not save you because it's just too high of a drop. The cool thing about the powered descender is you can kind of time it with your jump to travel further distances than you normally would. If you try to activate it toward the highest peak of your normal jump and just fly around with a lot more range to it. The crash pad and the powered descender blueprints can be found in just random containers, but I've found them most commonly inside of the blue plastic containers that you have to breach open in the new Riven Tides map, but even more commonly in the shipping container storage drawers. I have found tons of blueprints in here. And the same goes for the new keys. If you want the new key cards, I recommend searching these green drawers on the shipping containers. The downside to the powered descender is that it is expensive to craft. You need a turbine compressor. This is the same thing that you need for the current event. But something useful to know is that you do not have to defeat the turbine to get the turbine compressors. You can find turbine compressors inside of Arc couriers. It's just kind of rare. I've heard you can also find them inside of the Arc husks, but I have not personally found one in a husk, so let me know down in the comments if you have. Oh yeah, plus leave any extra tips and tricks that you have down in the comments as well. You can find Vaporizer Regulators inside of those same Arc couriers that you can find turbine compressors, or kind of like how I mentioned fighting the turbine by sniping it through small openings. Just shoot 2 of its propellers off and it's pretty much done for.
Got him. Oh, I'm riding you.
The Comet Igniters that you need for the avian alarm event, but even more so to craft deadline mines, are not very hard to get if you just keep your distance, throw a seeker grenade at it, and hit a couple of quick shots with the anvil, or even just straight up use an anvil from a distance and get like 4 or so shots off to quickly destroy it. You just have to defeat it before it detonates in order for it to drop the Comet Igniter. Oh yeah, and by the way, unless you're carrying a grenade launcher, I'd say you should always have at least a stack of seeker grenades on you for the Riven Tides map. 1 second, you're perfectly fine, feeling happy as can be, about to go extract, and the next minute, 17 different arcs are super glued to you like they take you being alive personally. The ship models that you need, plus are super valuable if you need money, are lying pretty much all over the place in Riven Tides. You'll find a lot of them on desks or the computer type workstations or on carts, really just anywhere that you'd normally find another lootable item lying. They're just pretty easy to miss. You can also find them inside of containers. That's typically where you'll find some of the most valuable ones. I actually found my first Leviathan ship model, the gold legendary ship, on a Stella Montes night raid. Riven Tides is just a lot more common for these boats. The Fertilizer can be found in Riven Tides as well. I used to think Fertilizer didn't exist in here, but it's mostly out here on the beach, on the seabed, towards like the western portion of where you see the lake on the map. This water isn't actually here while you're playing, but if you look on the map and you just kind of trace along the coast, or the water line here, that's typically where you'll find more of them. There are like 3 spawns over on the left. Further along the little river on the map, you should be able to find a couple, as well as over here just past the Port Authority building. You can find moss along with mushrooms in the dried riverbed, found in the center between the hotel and the stacking yard. There is a ton of moss here, but you can also just purchase moss with seeds from Celeste, or just recycle some defibs. I've mostly found roots inside of the blue plastic containers that you have to breach open, and these are found like all over Riven Tides. But you can find a bunch of them, I'd say more so towards the hotel, but all over the map. If you've ever played Riven Tides and you came over to the stacking yard and climbed up Tower 1, on the map it's the leftmost tower in the stacking yard, you've probably noticed that there are 2 yellow locked doors, and it doesn't give you the option to insert a keycard or anything like that to open it. Instead, you have to hit 4 different buttons, and the spawn of these buttons are random between like 19 or 20 different locations. But luckily, all of them are here very close by. I'm going to be starting here, all the way to the left of the stacking yard, that same tower that has the key room in, and you'll see just beside this bush is a chance for a button to appear there. It might be there, it might not, but then you can come on over here towards the double yellow crates where I have a button. Yours might not be here, but another location is if you turn right around in the corner of this hole. Now come around to the other side of the tower, which now will be on the opposite side of where we started, over towards the ladder. But if you look at the camera here, just to the right of the camera, in the corner there is where another button may or may not spawn. If it's there, hit it, but whether it is or not, climb up the yellow ladder now, and there's like 6 different possible button spawns in this building. One spot is right here beside the main desk there. Another is right next to the actual locked door. And then if you come around, you should find one here near the blue toolbox. I believe it's near the toolbox there. It's somewhere on that wall. And at the opposite end of the main computer area there, now we can turn straight around, and not up here, but just below us is where 2 more buttons may spawn. One button will be down there at that end, which you can get to by hopping on top of the crates and climbing up there yourself. And the other here, I'll show you by just dropping down, where a button may spawn at the opposite end. From here, we can climb back up and start heading towards the top of the tower. So once you get on top of the crane here, a button may spawn here, just in this corner, kind of easy to miss. I've heard that a button spawns here in this little hut. I've never seen it spawn there myself. There's also a weapon crate that spawns on top of that hut, but you'll find another possible button location just down the staircase there at the halfway point, and then just past that, walking along this red beam, you'll find one down on the gray platform there, and just on the opposite side is where I found my button. Like I said, yours might not be here. It's totally random. But from here, we can just continue across and start ziplining to the other side. There are only like 4 possible button spawns on the second crane. Most of them are all back there on the first one, and I mean, it's not even on the actual crane. Once you get here, you just want to head straight for the tower. Once you drop down here, you might find one immediately here, right next to the door. Another spot is immediately next to the computer desk, just like the first tower. Another location here in the hallway, kind of towards the center of the walkway. And finally, our last location for a possible button to spawn is just outside of the main door that leads to the ladder, literally right next to the doorway. If you hit all 4 buttons, you can return back to the first tower that we started in, where you should find that secret little puzzle room opened on up. And it should have pretty decent loot, especially if you're on night raid. I mean, it's not always amazing, but out of like the 10 times that I've opened it up, I think 8 or 9 of them at least had a weapon case. Weapon cases can spawn like all over in this room. You might find one in the front here, another here right under the desk, or over here between the 2 desks. But what we also have in here is a spot to insert a fuel cell. Inserting a fuel cell will open up a second secret loot room just outside. The tricky part is that first you need to find a fuel cell. Generally, you should go out to the balcony and just look around first. The fuel cell usually spawns within a pretty close range of the tower. I've found one on top of the crates just there below. I've found one just outside of the locked room that the fuel cell opens up towards the mountain there, and then if we head back towards the ladder, you'll see that it'll also sometimes spawn on top of the crate there. But the even trickier part is getting the fuel cell up into the tower. You have 2 options to do that. You can use the snap hook to reel it up there, or you can use the lift. If you use the elevator lift thing, you need to repair it first, which typically takes 3 wires or 3 duct tape, or I think even sometimes it wants 3 batteries. These are lying all over, but you could also just bring some in if you wanted to. And if you're using the lift, you'll need a friend to hold the button while you go up with the fuel cell. So if you don't have a friend, you'll have to go into proximity chat and ask for some help. Now you can take the fuel cell into the button room, insert it, and there you go. You can head on over to the western side of Tower 1, just outside. It's like the same location as where we found our first button earlier, and that's where we can find our second locked room and final part of the puzzle. Oh yeah, let me know what you guys think of the new Riven Tides map down in the comments. That's pretty much it. Thank you to Arc Raiders for sponsoring this video. You can click on the links down below to check out Arc Raiders and the new Riven Tides map for yourself.
Right there.
See ya.
He's coming up.